Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so today I'm coming at you with another story time. Basically, it's just a continuation of the previous story time that I had about how I was shipped off to boarding school. But like I said, my whole school career, I've been to boarding school. So now I'm going to tell you a story of like why I moved boarding schools and how it affected me mainly. Okay, so after the first 3 years of me being there, eventually I adapted. I mean, I'm a baby. Oh, I'm using this spray for my hair. So I'm a baby. So I adapted and I started learning how to speak the language, I started learning how to speak the language. And yeah, like I was a well adjusted child. Okay. So I think when I was in grade four, like I was over like in terms of sports, like I was really like into sports because I felt like I didn't want to attend like study with the older kids because they used to have to go to study for like long hours. So I did everything you could think of, like athletics, netball, hockey, ballet. I did everything. So eventually I signed up for ballet because I mean I needed something to do. So I signed up for ballet. Okay, I'm using this hair food coconut black chick. Okay, that's what I'm using for my hair to be moisturized. So basically, I did ballet, and when I did ballet, yeah, I enjoyed it. But honestly, it was just like an extramural activity just to keep me busy. But my favorite sport up to this point it was hockey, and I was really good at it. And before I finished primary, like I played it at a provincial level. So that's how good I was in hockey. So I really loved it. So I'm just gonna continue with a little bit of the bullying that happened before I moved schools. So for some reason, God decided to bless me in grade four, ne? And I had my first menstrual cycle, guys. At this point, I didn't even know what was a pad. I didn't even know that women use pads. I didn't know anything about feminine hygiene. I didn't even know that women, like, there's such thing as feminine hygiene. Yo, guys. So, because I was doing ballet, my grade four teacher's daughter was also doing ballet, and we're in the same class regarding ballet because ballet has different classes compared to the classes that you do at school. They also have grades in ballet. So, we're in the same grade, so it was grade one. But initially, I was in grade four, I was 11 years old. So, uh, puberty hit me very quickly, of which I feel like that was another curse given which I had a lot to deal with. Like I was still being bullied, but obviously now I can stand up for myself. And then this, okay. So in class one day, I started bleeding. I felt uncomfortable, but I didn't know what was like happening with my body, so I decided to ignore it. So break time comes. How okay, I'm wearing a skirt. I decided to like stand up and run to like the tech shop. But no, and then I started bleeding. Like there was just blood everywhere where I moved. On my chair there was a lot of blood. And some guy, I will not mention you, but one day you will see this video. But I will not mention you because I still talk to you, okay? And then one guy was like, Bega, like, Bega, like, there's blood everywhere. Where does that blood come from? And people stared at me. And people started laughing. Obviously, because they were kids and they also didn't understand what is happening. So basically, they started saying that, like, I'm a bitch. That's why I started, like, bleeding so quickly. Oh, guys. Like, I was bitch shamed. And at the time, I didn't know what was a bitch. They started calling me names. So my teacher, to de-escalate the issue, she made sure that everybody gets out of class, and I sat down at my desk and I just cried. Like I was just in my hands like that on the desk, and I just started crying. Guys, I don't know, like, okay, the type of school I went to, there was these windows where like the whole wall is full of a window, like it's a window, the whole wall, ne? And then like in that particular school they used to put like curtains, but not like all the way up there on the window. It was like a half curtain on, like, I don't know how to explain, but anyway, long story short, people started like looking at me through the glass from outside, because now the kids in my class started telling other people, because it's break time, like, yeah, she's bleeding, like, yo mboneni. And I could hear them like making a noise, and I was a spectacle, guys. Yo, I mean, I went through a lot, shit. And like they made me feel ashamed of something that is natural, that is happening to me. So my teacher just took a towel, put it around me, and she was actually excited. She put it around me. She's like, no, don't cry. There's nothing to worry about. This is actually a beautiful moment in your life. I'm like, what? At this point, I'm crying. I'm like, I don't want this. Make it go away. She's like, nah, technically it can't go away. It came. Okay, she wraps me with a towel, takes me to the hostel, what we call Cause Haze, takes me to the hostel. When we get there, and she tells me to take a bath, you know. I'm just hysterical at this point. They called the girl that initially came when I was crying when I was in grade 1 and I didn't know where I was. They called her. They're like, girl, we need you. Please talk to her because she's hysterical. Okay, a girl spoke to me. She's like, you're a woman now. Like, here's a pad. You need to go buy pads now because now you're older and you need to put this on your panty like this and that. Guys, I was sad. Like, I couldn't stop crying. Like, and she gave me like a maxi pad. Guys, this country, I'm a kid. I can't even walk. Like, I'm opening my legs. I'm so uncomfortable. And my teacher's like, you must remember, you have a ballet exam. So in ballet, when they say that you have an exam, they mean that they basically just mean that you're going to dance. And you know, in ballet, it's a sport that doesn't require any flaws. Like, if you have a big ass, big boobs, chances are you have to lose weight to look like a stick. So at that time, obviously, I was thin and I looked like a stick. But the only thing that was getting in the way is this thing in between my legs. Long story short, I failed my ballet exam because number 1, I was uncomfortable. Number 2, I just looked amazed because I couldn't stop crying. And my ballet exam was on that day where like everybody berated me for something that happens naturally in my body, and I didn't know that it happens naturally. All right. So from here on out, I still dealt with like bullying every now and then, but it was subtle because now I could fight for myself. Like, I could talk back. It's like, wait, calm down. I could fight for myself now, you know, but it was still, emotionally, it wasn't okay. So my dad passed away in 2006. At this point, yeah, it was very traumatic. It happened like very quick. All of a sudden, he was taking me back to school. We're having fun in the car. Like, me and my dad were tight, guys. People who knew me and my dad, they knew that we were tight. Like, that was my day one nigga, okay? Like, he fucks for me. So we were very tight. He passed away, and when he passed away, like, I went into a deep depression. Mind you, up to this point, irregardless of the bullying and the continuation of bullying, I still rose above everything. Like, I was still strong enough to like deal with it, you know. He passed away and it hit me hard. Like, it hit me hard, guys. I didn't know how hard it hit me until my mom was like, you have to change boarding schools, you know, because my dad loved the school, and the only reason why I was there is because he made sure that I was there. Like, for him, it was like, this is a good school, it's part of the elite, and my baby is going to be part of it because she wants to be. Because remember, he wanted to pull me out because he saw that I wasn't okay, but eventually he came to terms with the fact, yeah, it's probably to my, like, it's probably more beneficial for me to be there than me not being there, you know. So he had accepted up to this point, and he loved it. He would come to school every now and then. Like, most people at school knew him. Like, my vice principal knew him. Like, he was cool people's, yeah. So when I initially found out that I found out that my dad passed away, again, I wasn't told. When I'm a baby, no, told what? No, I wasn't told, guys. My mom had a car. She drives, right? So my dad, irregardless that my mom can drive or drives every day, he didn't let anybody take me to school other than him. Like, it was his bonding time with me. It was our time. He had to do it. So here I am in class. They call me on the intercom. They call my name, my full name. They're like, Pamela Mashani, please come to the office. I'm like, they like, bring your bags. I'm like, what did I do? Like, what did I do, guys? Like, why? There I am, walking to the office. As I walk to the office, When I walk into the office, at the reception area, I can see my dad's best friend. So I'm like, what's going on? Didn't they say that my uncle's looking for me? Yeah, somebody had initially told me while I was running to the office, like the teacher initially told me, because she was coming into the class after they had announced my name on the intercom. She had came into the class and she's like, your uncle is looking for you. Then they called me on the intercom. So I was like, isn't this supposed to be my uncle? Mind you, I have an uncle, you know? Like, what? Okay, I walk in, I find my dad's best friend. My dad's best friend is like, you have to go home. I'm taking you home. I'm like, why? He's like, you just have to go home. I'm like, is everything okay? He's like, you have to go home. From that moment on, guys, like, I don't know what is, this is a biological connection with like parents or what. I felt something was wrong in my gut. I felt that something was wrong, but I just didn't know what. But I felt that something was wrong. I was shaking. I was disheveled. I couldn't even think properly. She's like, yeah, let's go to the hospital, pack your stuff so that you can go home for the weekend. I'm like, but then it's a Thursday, number one. Like, why? Like, my parents would never take me out of school for any reasons. Guys, I know my parents. Like, they wouldn't. Yo, them in education, they are one. So I go to the hostel. Basically, I didn't pack anything because I just took random stuff. Went to the car with him. He was being extra nice. Like, I'm like, what's wrong? So he's like, do you want to eat Wimpy? Wimpy was the closest restaurant at the time. Do you want to eat Wimpy? I'm like, no. He's like, do you want cold drink? I'm like, no. He's like, do you want snacks? I'm like, nigga, no. And he's like, okay, I'm just gonna buy you snacks and cold drinks anyway. Oh, yo, that car drive was tense, guys. Okay, there we are in the car drive. Okay, they dropped me off at an area where like my cousins and my little brother is there waiting for my mom to come and get all of us. Yo, my little brother and his young mind. He's like, he tells me like, yo, do you know why you're home? I'm like, no, why am I home? It's like, yo, when? Like, Papa was in a car accident. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, Papa was in a car accident. And guys, like, from then, like, I just had this hopeless feeling in me. Like, I just felt so hopeless. But I just wanted to stay strong because I didn't want to act weird around my little brother, you know? Because he was taking it so lightly. Okay, my mom came and got us, went into the car. All right, cool. This is Thursday, mind you. Friday passes by. I'm with my grandmother at home. Saturday, these random people, like, I don't know if other people do this in their cultures, but whenever there's a funeral, especially in rural areas, like, people are around the area come and they clean up the yard or something like that. Rena ka Spain, we call it gohola. Yeah, so they came with their shuffles and stuff to come and clean like the outside areas. And at this point, I'm confused. So I start praying. I start praying and I pray and I pray. And I'm like, God, please bring him back. Like, make sure that he comes back and he's safe. And at this point, because I was so desperate, I was like, even if he comes back and he's paralyzed, it's fine. As long as he's here, it's fine. But in hindsight, it wasn't going to be fine. But anyway, I didn't know that. So my mom drives in that afternoon with my uncle's car, like my actual uncle's car. So I ran outside, all excited. I'm like, Mama, did you buy a new car? Like, you know? My mom was like, I could see, guys, like, I don't know what, like, was this God telling me or what? But guys, like, I could see it in her eyes or something is wrong. And she's like, Pumelelo, your dad is no more. Like, what? It's like, yeah. Yo, guys, that was deep. It hit me hard. So there I am, like, trying to react, like, I wanted to cry, but my mom was like, yeah, when I don't cry in front of people. I'm like, yeah. I went into the house. I started crying. Like, I cried so bad. So long story short, yeah, my dad passed away. And then after that, like, it just went downhill for me. I became depressed. I was thin already, but I just lost a shitload of weight after that, guys. Like, I lost so much weight. I forgot to eat. Like, I wouldn't eat in the beginning, but not because I was telling myself that I wouldn't eat. I just wouldn't think about eating. I was just always thinking about my dad, like, how life is going to be, how he's not going to be there when I finish school, like, when I graduate. Like, it hit me hard, like, to the core. And I'm like, guys, Mara, like, how can this be? Like, it's very unfair. So yeah, so I was going through the emotions, and I wasn't a pleasant person to be around. Shout out to the girl that I was tight with at the time, you know yourself. But I wasn't really a pleasant person to be around because I was going through a lot, and I couldn't tell anyone because where I come from, like, black people don't believe in therapy, guys. Like, black people don't believe in therapy. So I was going through the most, and you could see it physically. But after my dad passed away, like, nobody talked about him at home. Like, there was no healing. There was no part where you like, remember the time, papa. No, it was like, he's dead, take down the pictures, let's move on with our lives. Painful, I know, but nevertheless, it hurt. So my mom started seeing that, you know what, I'm not coping with the fact that I have to go get her so often at this particular school. So she wanted me to move to a boarding school where I stayed there longer, but I didn't know that at the time. Okay, she was like, I'm gonna move school, like, I'm gonna change schools, like, I'm gonna change your school, like, you're going to move back home. So here I am, I'm excited, I'm like, yay. At this point, I didn't know that I'm going to a boarding school again. I'm like, yay, I'm moving back home. So I was genuinely happy because I was thinking the bullying will be done, like, a lot of things will be done because I'm going back home more than my baby, and I can relate to them, you know. So I go back home. She applies for a school in Polokwane, like PLK. And when I got there, yeah, like, it was different, guys. Like, yo, don't lie. Like, I couldn't adapt. I didn't know what was better, my previous school or that one. But honestly, my previous school was better. Other than the bullying, my previous school, like, facility-wise, 10 out of 10. That one, facility-wise, yo, maybe a 6, you know. So I got there. I went from living alone in a room. Well, obviously, in my previous school, we lived like 2-2 in a room, or you live alone. So at some point, I started living alone, you know. So I went from living alone in a room to living with like 4 people. And I'm like, why? And my mom basically, when I got there, my mom just shoved me with the form, with the school form. She's like, fill it in. I'm like, oh, mama, I don't know. She's like, fill it in. I'm like, mama, she's like, your dad passed away. What if I die? Who's going to fill in this form for you? What if I die? So basically from then, she made sure that things change. Like, she makes sure that if we thought that we were independent before, we were not independent. Now, independence is going to start for real. I filled in the form. After I was done filling in the form, he's like, go look for, like, girl, like, find your life in the school right now. Find your life. I'll be waiting for you in the car. Had to go ask around where, like, which hostel I have to go to, which one is my bed. After I was done with everything, I came back to the car. I'm like, I'm coming to get my bag. She's like, yeah, let's go, let me go see your room. I'm like, yo, this woman, yeah. Okay, I went to go get my bags, went to the hostel. I did my own bed, guys. Like, everybody, like, you know, in grade 8, people are going to boarding schools, their parents are staring at them, like, their parents are doing their beds for them, they're excited for them. And for me, like, I was just, so for me, yo, guys, I had to do everything on my own, and my mom was just standing there staring at me, like, yeah. She's like, yeah, always realize this is a privilege. Okay, it's a privilege. I bought you food, I bought you, like, necessities, I paid your school fees. It is a privilege, okay? So yeah, I did my bed, and basically, like, that school also came with its own setbacks, but mainly, like, the bullying wasn't there, no lie. Like, that school, like, the bullying wasn't there. And plus, I was excited with, like, they speak the same language as I speak, or so I thought. Guys, hectic. They spoke the same language that I spoke. Primarily, we all spoke the same language. Or let me just say, when we fill in a form, we all tick the same box, but it doesn't sound the same. Like, yo, guys, Betty is diverse, and that's what I like about my home language. It's so diverse, and there's different ways of speaking it, and it's just beautiful all around. So now, I didn't know at this point because there's different types of Bettys. I didn't know, guys. And then, yeah, I found out, but it wasn't bad because I could speak the same language. But remember, at this point, because I was bullied in my previous school, I refused refused to speak like Zulu when I was there. Like majority of the time I wouldn't speak Zulu. I taught myself how to speak English because I was like, this makes me a little bit superior, because I mean you should know how to speak English and I'm not obligated to speak your language. I was just a kid trying to rebel to like the negative forces that were there. So basically I spoke a lot of English. So when I got to the school, everyone was like, like, why do you always speak English? And I'm like, yo guys, like I don't know. Like obviously I couldn't tell them what like it's this and that and that and that. But yeah, I just continued speaking like a lot of English because of what had happened. But what I like about my second like boarding school, other than the fact that the facilities weren't that good, I like the fact that there was a lot of people that spoke my language and I could relate to a lot of them. And yeah, basically I was there to make, like I made a lot of memories, a lot of good memories in high school than primary school. And yeah, basically that's how I went to like another boarding school. That's why I was moved to another boarding school. In the next episode, I'm gonna tell you guys how my experience was in that school, and yeah, a continuation of that and how I got to varsity eventually. But yeah, that's my story. Basically, I moved boarding schools, went back to my province, like Limpopo province, and it wasn't that bad. Like I really liked it because I made friendships that lasted a lifetime. I'm still friends with a lot, not a lot, a few of the people who I met there. Yeah,